So Rahu and Ketu are the south and north node of the moon. Okay, these are the eclipse point on the north and south side of the moon that happens. And Rahu is considered the north node, and Ketu is considered the south node. And in Western astrology, they only consider the north node in the astrological chart, where the south node is just as important. So in this video, I'm going to first do the north node, Rahu, and the second part is going to be Ketu. So Rahu, is not an actual planet. It's a shadow planet. It's an eclipse, okay, that is always happening, 24/7, 24 hours a day. So depending upon what time you're born, and where the moon is, placed in your horoscope, depending upon that, Rahu and Ketu are going to be placed, at some point 7 houses apart from each other. Rahu and Ketu are like north and south pole, okay? They can never meet, and neither can they ever be a little bit closer or further apart from each other. They're always 7 houses apart. They're always 180 degrees apart from one another. So, and they move retrograde. They're always retrograde. They're never going direct. If they go direct, this world would end, or Shiva might have to come down. That's how it is. So Rahu and Ketu are always retrograding in a horoscope. So they're always going clockwise, where all the planets are going counterclockwise. Okay, so Rahu is the north node, and Rahu represents the things that you couldn't achieve in the past life, but you are here to achieve them and be obsessive about them. See, Rahu represents obsession in person's life. For example, if a person has Rahu in the 5th house, they will have a lot of trouble having kids. But the thing is, their passion is going to be there for having kids. They're going to keep trying. They're going to say, you know what, I want kids. I want kids. And Rahu, is there to show you that, things that you're obsessive about, yet you cannot get them. So when you cannot get something, you become obsessed about that. Like the girl in high school that you had a crush on, and she was going out with this star football athlete, where you were just a nerdy looking guy, yet you were just obsessed about her. You knew you couldn't get her. You knew she kept rejecting you, but you wanted her. That's what Rahu is. It creates an obsession for something that you really want, but you can't have. And this is why Rahu is kind of related to Saturn. It's known as the shadow planet of Saturn, because Saturn restricts you. Okay, it restricts you, but it teaches you a lesson. Rahu is just about your worldly desires. It's about the obsession that it brings. But what it does to you, it creates that obsession, but it doesn't give you that thing until after a lot of hard work, like Saturn does. Saturn gives you things after a delay. But see, what Rahu does, Saturn doesn't create obsession in a person. It just creates a block in a certain part of life. But Rahu creates this obsession with person. So if you want to know what you're passionate about in life, you should look at where your Rahu is placed more than any other planet. Because Rahu will tell you that these are the things that you need to work on. These are the things you're going to be fighting for. These are the things that you will really believe in. And all this is depending upon the house and degree Rahu is placed in your horoscope. So what Rahu is doing, it is telling you that you conquered most of your things in the past life. But one thing that you couldn't conquer in the last life, you're going to want to conquer that thing in this life. And until you do that, you will not be satisfied. Whether it's money, children, wife, education, achieving a certain type of goal in your life. So this is why, especially when it comes to career, to look at somebody's career, what they should do, not what they're doing, or what the planets are making them do. You look at their Rahu, because Rahu will tell them what their passion is. Okay, so Rahu in the 5th house, even though it's not giving this person the children that they want, that they're obsessed about. However, what it could also do, it's going to give them, this person, the passion to work with kids, to open up children's schools, to open up, these programs, these after-school programs for children, to become a psychologist for children. But, all of these things will depend upon, who's looking at Rahu, what sign and degree Rahu is placed in. So that's very important. It's not just Rahu in the 5th house and it does that. No, there's a lot of things that go into it, but that's what Rahu pretty much signifies, is that obsession with children. Okay, now if it's a negative Rahu, okay, you're going to get people like Sandusky, the guy who in the Penn State is been accused for molesting and raping children. That's kind of a bad Rahu. Okay, so I would love to see his fifth house, and you watch, either he will have Saturn or Rahu in the fifth house or aspecting the fifth house because of this. So there's positive. So Rahu is never negative. Okay, so it's not always negative. It is positive at some points. But what Rahu does is this. See, this is why Rahu is considered negative. Is because when you're obsessed about something, you try to achieve it in a way that is not considered legal. Okay, so if your Rahu's in the second house of finance and money, and you always want money, and you are willing to scam people, you are willing to cheat the government, you are willing to defraud in your taxes due to this alignment to gather most of the money that you want to have. So that's what it is. That obsession leads the person to create negative acts in their life, and that's what Rahu is. So again, Rahu does very well in the sign of Taurus, Gemini, Virgo, and Aquarius. These are the 4 signs that it does very well in. It doesn't do very well in Pisces, Sagittarius, and Leo, and also it doesn't do very well in the sign of Scorpio, because these are the signs that where Rahu is constructed. It's like Rahu has handcuffs. He can't really do too much, but where in the other signs he excels in a positive way. So when Rahu in the bad sign cannot do what it really wants, then he'll try to break that prison, and that is considered illegal. So I'm trying to make it as easy as possible in the most layman terms about Rahu, but there's all these other analysis of Rahu that are available. There's all these details of Rahu, who Rahu was, how he tried to drink the elixir, and before he could go through his whole body, Shiva and Vishnu cut his throat off just so he can become immortal. But in a way he did, because his second half of the body became Ketu and the face became the Rahu. So Ketu is blind. So this is what basic Rahu is. Now Ketu, on the other hand, Ketu is the south node of the moon, and like Rahu and Ketu, like I told you, they're always 7 houses apart. Ketu is a reflection of Mars. Okay, Ketu represents the thing that are already conquered. You know how Mars is a soldier and it conquers things, and so Ketu is somebody that has already conquered things in the past life, and the things that it conquered in the past life, in this life, it really doesn't care about those things. Okay, and this is why Ketu is especially known as a very spiritual planet, because what spirituality is, it's the liberation from the material world. So depending upon where your Ketu, the south node, is placed, you really won't care about those things in this life. You really wouldn't, whether they come or don't come, you will not care about them, and you won't even want them. Like if Ketu is in your 7th house, okay, you will, let's say Ketu in the 7th house as an example, you will be a very attractive and beautiful person. However, none of your relationships will work out, and there will be things and events in your life that at one point you're going to say, you know what, I'm not meant for marriage. I don't give a shit about marriage. I don't care. So what will happen is you will just be like, you know what, marriage is not for me. If I get into a relationship, fine, but you won't really like the idea of marriage. You will, if you get married, you will get divorced, or your spouse will die of ill health or something, or you will have so much fight and turbulence in your marriage that you will just be living apart. Like back in the days when people used to be committed to a marriage, but where now marriage is literally a joke, people in that time who had Ketu in the 7th house, they stuck around. They're like, you know what, this is my life, this is it. They won't really care about the partner as much, they won't care about the sex life as much, but they were just there, like a home decoration present in the house, but it wasn't really doing anything. But now in these days and age, where it might be a good thing, that people are able to just walk away from that. That, hey, you know what, it's not working out, and I don't want to keep you in this mess. Let's just go away. So Ketu, represents the thing that you conquered, and in this life, you're not really caring about them. You're more about, going towards the issues that Rahu is placed in. So if Ketu is in the 7th house of the other people and you don't really care about the marriage and partnership, Ketu in the 1st house, which represents your, your face, your mind, your whole body, you'll be really concentrating on yourself the whole time, more than anything else. And you will be looking out for yourself more than anything else. This is why people in the Rahu in the 1st house make great politicians, because politicians are all about looking for themselves and their people. That's it. That's what politics is about. So what Ketu does, in your life most of the time, it makes a person spiritual when especially the Ketu period comes in. Usually people die in the period of Ketu. If Ketu is in your 9th house or 12th house especially, you'll be very spiritual and religious. You'll have the healing ability. If Ketu is in the 8th house, you'll be very mystical and very much involved in the mysteries of life. Ketu, this is why Ketu is related to spirituality, because the fact it doesn't care about material things. Because usually our life in this world, in this present era, is about materialism, where Rahu represents this current world, the Kali Yuga, and Ketu represents the completely opposite. It's the things that you just want to get away from. And especially in Ketu period, when Ketu is ruling most of your life, like in the Dasha system, you become very spiritual. A lot of people, who were partying and all that, whether it's the age of 15, 20, 25, 45, 60, whenever Ketu comes, people change. They get such hard lessons in their life that they're like, no, I need to seek some higher power. Whether it's religion, whether it's spirituality, whether it's going into mysticism. A lot of people in the 8th, 9th, Ketu with the 8th, in the 8th, 9th, or 12th house become very good astrologers, very good mystical, very good pranic healers, Reiki healers. Ketu in the 9th house makes a person very religious, very spiritual. So Ketu is about the things that you conquered. Rahu is about the things that you are here to conquer. Okay, so that's what this is like, Rahu and Ketu in a nutshell for you guys. And this is why Rahu and Ketu are far more important than Uranus and Neptune. Because Uranus and Neptune energy and their effect, can be replicated to other planets who are doing the same thing. Okay, and Rahu and Ketu are there prominently, and they're actually the nodes of our moon. So imagine how close their energy is compared to Neptune and Uranus. This is why I still made the video of them too, but I just wanted to tell you why these two planets are far more important than Uranus and Neptune. So if you guys want to know more about astrology, if you want to know more about the in-depth and the secrets of astrology, how it was involved in the U.S. government as well, back when it was formed by George Washington, check out my website, link below at kerasnovels.com, and hopefully that will give you some sort of an insight into the real astrology. Thank you.